supplier diversification or supplier intelligence. So um, this is yeah. So how does the business research company help you to diversify your supply chain? Um, so we've done a lot of projects of this type, and they generally fall into a range of types or a range of stages. The first one is helping you to identify what it is that you're looking for from your suppliers. So helping you to create a wish list. That can include a huge range of things, but price, cost, location, financial stability, capability, of course, different types of capability, etc., ESG track record, regulatory compliance, pricing structure, and help you to break up that wish list into the nice to haves and the need to haves. So companies areas like ESG to some extent, but not necessarily. ESG may be a must have. ESG may be some aspects of ESG may be nice to have. Definitely sort of tech forward integration, AI integration, Internet of Things tracking, etc. These are some of the criteria that RIFID. These are some of the criteria that a lot of consumers or procurers of goods are looking for in their suppliers, and they may be a nice to have or a must have. Increasingly in this environment, diversification is important. So that can be a matter of having more suppliers, having a balance between very large multinationals and agile SMEs supplying you for any particular product. It may be geographic spread. And yeah, reducing single point dependencies in competent chains, component chains. So one of the trends of recent years has been these the move towards more in-depth, close relationships with suppliers, where companies have looked to get very close to their suppliers, sometimes even invest in them, share some of their risks, train some of their people, etc., to improve the smoothness of the relationship and the quality of the final output. But of course, if you're making all those investments, it makes you less nimble about being able to change your suppliers when things change, and it also makes it harder to have a diversified supplier list because you can't really make that kind of investment in multiple different companies for the same component. Many companies are using suppliers for an enormous number of different components, so the complexity then becomes very great. So having diversity and managing a broader range of suppliers is something that becomes more important again. And yes, understanding the trade-offs between high integration and a more of a transactional relationship. So, and how do you go about finding new suppliers? So first of all, you look at the overall market for suppliers for a particular good and do an assessment of it. So how competitive is it? How fragmented is it? Is it a lot of small companies? Is it single large companies? How easy is it to switch between suppliers? Are there environmental factors where the suppliers are based? Is there raw material scarcity for the suppliers, labor volatility for the suppliers? What is the financial situation of the supplier companies? how stable are they, etc. So an analysis of the bigger picture of the market for suppliers in a particular product or service, and then start going about discovering or finding your the suppliers who are relevant. There are a lot of number of different databases here which are available, which can supply information on companies, and that you can put in different criteria for the companies, like what size of what revenues, what type of company, where they're based, etc., to create a long list of potential suppliers. Then you start doing secondary research based on those suppliers that you've identified, looking at their reviews, ratings, their certifications. And then, and this is a critical part where we particularly get involved, is doing some primary outreach, speaking to those suppliers, asking them compliance questions, asking them questions according to the criteria that you're ranking them on, and getting that greater level of depth of understanding of each supplier. And that's something that we do a lot of, that kind of supplier benchmarking process. Another thing is is best practice, looking at what your competitors are doing, who are they partnering with, what kind of model are they adopting, are they using multi-sourcing, are they using just in time, are they using very integrated relationships, are they how do their contracts work, all of these kind of things. What tolerances do they have within their contracts? So understanding what other people are doing and what seems to be most successful. What are successful companies doing in this area? And then benchmarking. So using all these factors to benchmark the existing suppliers that your shortlist of suppliers, and benchmarking them on your key criteria before making a final decision or going into final negotiations. So what kind of factors should you be looking for when you're doing that kind of research? What are you benchmarking them on? So risk assessment, interdependencies between different suppliers. Like you might think, oh, we've got 3 different suppliers for this, but then you realize they've all got the same parent company, or they're all invested in by the same company, and it's possible that if one of them goes bust, they'll all go bust at the same time, or they're all in the same country. So the country specific, although you've got provider diversification, you don't have geographic diversification and risk mitigation. Having and ensuring that you've got and then there are various ways that you can mitigate that kind of risk that we'll perhaps come on to a little bit later. So then pricing, comparing prices from different suppliers, making sure that you're comparing apples with apples is very important here. Is the quality the same? Is the delivery timeline the same? Are there any penalties, etc.? So pricing comparison, not just the sort of top level pricing, but the details behind it. How does the contract work? How long is it? How flexible are the clauses? What are the exit terms and what are the ramp up terms? So these are important things to compare. Timing, lead times, how long does it take to get the relationship started? How long does it take to deliver? What is the variance there? On the punctuality, are there any seasonal factors that need to be considered? And then quality standards and tolerances. So this is perhaps the most important. What levels of tolerance for errors or issues are tolerated within the contract? At what point do any financial penalties kick in? What are the circumstances in which quality issues can result in you can being able to break the contract, etc. So yeah, checking that the quality and ensuring that the tolerances within the contract align with what you need for your business. So how do we help in these areas? We help them help people make faster decisions by giving this local information, this driven primarily from our secondary research, from our internal databases, from the databases we buy in, but mainly from primary research, talking to people, expert interviews, participant interviews, etc. We can through that helping you make faster decisions, shifting your investment into higher return zones, giving you the data to support strategy pivots, helping you to still look out for and find opportunities amid disruptions, finding the white spaces in demand, finding products and services that actually benefit from tariffs. So obviously that certainly exists. Pockets of opportunity exist, and certainly areas like infrastructure within the US is a potential strong growth market, for example, or second-hand vehicles in the US are currently going back gangbusters, or the shares in them are going gangbusters because people are expecting more people to buy second-hand goods as new goods become more expensive. And yes, making sure that you're one of the companies that's moving, or the entities that's moving quickly and being agile rather than one of the laggards. And to do that, it's often a good idea to bring in external help from a company like the Business Research Company.